A woman goes to the cemetery to mourn the loss of her husband, only to find a boy she has never seen before. Also, in tears, before the tombstone. Sarah walked slowly through the cemetery, her eyes swollen from crying so much. The trees around, stripped by the seasons, swayed gently in the wind, while dry leaves danced in the air, creating a melancholic trail to Michael's tombstone. Her heart was heavy. Every step seemed like an eternity, and the silence of the place only increased her sense of loneliness. The love of her life was gone, and the pain seemed unbearable. Sarah felt a deep sadness as she walked through the cemetery. Each step was a painful effort towards Michael's tombstone. As she approached, she heard a soft, almost imperceptible sound that made her stop. It was the cry of a child, a desolate sound that echoed in the silent tranquility of the cemetery. With a racing heart, she looked around and saw a boy, kneeling, crying in front of her husband's tombstone. The boy seemed lost, his shoulders shaking with the weight of his tears. Sarah felt a pang in her chest at the sight of him. Who was that boy? And why was he crying in front of Michael's tombstone? She approached slowly, not wanting to scare him, but unable to ignore the unsettling feeling growing inside her. There was something strangely familiar about the boy, a connection she couldn't explain. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling, trying to sound calm. The boy looked up, his eyes red and full of tears. He seemed surprised and a little scared by her presence. "Yes, I'm fine," he murmured, wiping the tears with the back of his hand. But the tone of his voice and the sadness in his eyes said otherwise. Sarah felt a wave of compassion for that unknown boy. She knelt beside him, trying to appear as welcoming as possible. "My name is Sarah," she said softly. "I was Michael's wife." The boy looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and pain. "I'm Tommy," he replied, and his voice sounded small, fragile, as if he was on the verge of collapse. Sarah felt a wave of shock upon hearing that name, a sense that something much bigger was about to be revealed. Tommy hesitated for a moment, as if gathering courage to speak. I knew Michael," he finally said, his words almost lost in the wind. Sarah felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. What did he mean by that? How could a boy so young know her husband so intimately as to cry at his tombstone? Questions swirled in her mind, but she knew she needed to be patient. Sarah felt engulfed by the weight of the mystery. She was there, beside Tommy, trying to absorb the depth of something hidden. The cemetery, with its ancient tombstones and the distant sound of birds, seemed a surreal setting for the conversation that was about to happen. "Tommy, how did you know Michael?" she asked, her voice trembling, still trying to stay calm. Tommy hesitated, his eyes downcast before responding. He was my father," he said, with a simplicity that pierced Sarah's heart. His words were like an avalanche, leaving her breathless. Each syllable seemed to echo in her mind, amplifying the confusion and pain she felt. The idea of Michael being the father of another child was unimaginable until that moment. "Your father?" Sarah repeated, almost unable to believe what she was hearing. Tommy nodded, looking at her with eyes full of tears. "Yes, he always visited me," he continued, his voice soft and full of sadness. "We did many things together. He took me to the park, taught me to ride a bike." The memories Tommy shared were like sharp knives, cutting Sarah's heart into 1,000 pieces. Sarah felt a lump in her throat. "Michael never told me about you," she said, her voice choked. Tommy's expression changed to a mix of understanding and sadness. "He said he wanted to protect me, and protect you too," explained the boy, with a surprising maturity for his age. "He didn't want anyone to get hurt." The boy's words only intensified the whirlwind of emotions inside her. The cold wind of the cemetery made Sarah shrink slightly. She looked at Tommy, trying to see through his words. "And your mother?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. Tommy looked down again, the pain visible on his face. She is no longer here, he said, hesitating. She died when I was little. The revelation brought a new layer of pain for Sarah. Michael not only hid a child, but also carried the burden of a loss she never knew. Sitting beside Michael's tombstone, Sarah let her memories flow freely. Each memory seemed like an old movie in sepia tones full of laughter and moments of tenderness. She recalled their first meeting, in a bookstore where they were both looking for the same rare book. Their eyes met, and she knew at that moment that he was special. The passion for knowledge and the long conversations about life united them deeply. As these memories unfolded, Sarah realized something she had ignored before. Michael had a peculiar way of averting his gaze when questioned about his past. At first, she thought it was just shyness, but now, it seemed indicative of something more. There were moments when he seemed distant, as if carrying an invisible weight that he never shared. A specific memory came back with force. It was their wedding anniversary, and Michael had prepared a romantic surprise. He took her to a secluded cabin in the mountains, a place he described with so much affection and familiarity. Sarah remembered how at ease he seemed there, as if he were at home. At the time, she thought it was just his enthusiasm. But now she began to question that certainty. She remembered one particular night when he received a call and left hastily. Upon returning, he was visibly shaken, but refused to talk about what had happened. Instead, Michael hugged her tightly, as if he feared losing her. At that moment, she didn't insist, respecting his silence. However, the doubt now gnawed at her heart, and she wondered if that event was related to the secrets she was beginning to uncover. Sarah felt the need to sit. With a gentle gesture, she pulled Tommy closer, both sitting beside Michael's tombstone. Was he a good father? She asked, almost fearing the answer. Tommy nodded vigorously. He was the best, he said with conviction. He always made me feel loved and safe. The boy's words were a cruel reflection of Michael's duality, a man she thought she knew completely. Sarah was still absorbing the revelation when Tommy, with still watery eyes, reached into his coat pocket. He pulled out a small golden locket, worn by time, but clearly well cared for. "He gave me this," said Tommy, his voice still fragile, offering the locket for Sarah to see. She took it carefully, feeling the weight of the cold metal against her warm skin. The locket was familiar, something Sarah vaguely remembered seeing before but never paid much attention to. When she opened it, she found a small photo of Michael, and, on the other side, an inscription, "To my beloved son, with all my love, Michael." The sight of the words made her heart race and her eyes fill with tears. How had she never known of the existence of that locket? "When did he give you this?" asked Sarah, trying to keep her voice steady. Tommy looked at the ground, seeming reluctant to answer. "Shortly before everything happened," he murmured. "He said he would always be with me, no matter what happened." The shock of the revelation mixed with the sharp pain of betrayal. The Michael she knew had concealed a vital part of his life. Sarah felt a mix of sadness and determination. There was much more to discover about Michael's double life, and she knew the truth was essential for both of them. "Tommy, we will get through this together," she promised, squeezing his hand. "I promise I won't leave you alone." Tommy looked at her with a glimmer of hope in his eyes, a small comfort amidst the chaos. Sarah felt determination grow within her. Returning home, she carried not only the pain of loss but the confusion of a revealed secret. She knew she needed to understand who Michael really was and why he had hidden such a crucial part of his life. Decided, she went up to the attic, where she kept the old memories of her husband. The attic was dusty and full of forgotten boxes. Sarah opened one of them and found photo albums. Flipping through the pages, she found images of their travels, family parties, and intimate moments. But among these familiar photos, something caught her attention. A photo that seemed out of place. It was Michael, younger, holding a boy who could only be Tommy. The shock of the discovery was like a blow. In the photo, Michael smiled in a way Sarah had never seen, a smile full of pure and uncomplicated love. Tommy, small and radiant, was in his arms. The intimacy and happiness captured in the image were undeniable. It was clear proof that Michael had a parallel life, a life that excluded Sarah completely. Holding the photo, Sarah felt a mix of anger and sadness. How could he? Questions bubbled in her mind. Why had Michael never told her about Tommy? How had he managed to keep this secret for so long? Sarah felt a burning desire for answers, a need to confront the truths that Michael had taken to the grave. As she sat on the attic floor, tears streamed down her face. She realized she needed more than just answers. She needed to understand Michael's reasons. This discovery led her to rummage through old boxes of memories in the attic. Among papers and forgotten objects, she found a diary hidden inside an accounting book. The pages, yellowed by time, revealed Michael's deepest thoughts, written in a language that mixed love and remorse. He mentioned a place, the refuge, which seemed to be a crucial point in his confessions. Sarah quickly flipped through the pages, her eyes devouring every word. The refuge was not just the cabin where they spent their wedding anniversary, but a place where Michael sought refuge from a secret life. Mentions of Tommy and a woman named Elena appeared among the lines, weaving a web of secrets that Sarah could never have imagined. With a tight heart, she began to read more attentively, looking for clues that explained the photo and the secret. Michael's words were a mix of love and guilt, revealing an internal struggle he never shared with her. With each page read, Sarah discovered more about Michael's relationship with Tommy. He wrote about visits to the park, bike rides, and moments of learning shared with his son. The notes were detailed, full of love and regret. Michael seemed divided between two lives, not knowing how to reconcile them without causing pain. The discovery deepened the complexity of her feelings. Suddenly, something fell from inside the diary, a small handwritten note. It was a note from Michael addressed to her. Sarah, if you are reading this, it means the truth has come out. I am so sorry for all the pain I caused. I never wanted you or Tommy to suffer. I hope you can one day understand and forgive my choices. Sarah held the note tightly. The paper crumpled by the tears that fell. The pain of betrayal was intense, but along with it, a feeling of compassion began to emerge. She saw Michael's conflict, the internal battle he fought. He loved deeply both her and Tommy, but his attempt to protect both led to a web of lies and secrets. Returning to the present, Sarah felt a new purpose forming. She couldn't change the past, but she could decide how to handle the future. She looked again at the photo of Michael and Tommy, feeling an unexpected connection with the boy who was now part of her life. With the truth finally exposed, Sarah knew she needed to move forward, rebuild her life and Tommy's with honesty and love. In the days that followed, Sarah spent more time with Tommy, trying to fill the gaps Michael had left. Sitting in the living room, bathed in the soft light of the evening, Tommy began to share stories about his father. Michael always took me to the park, he said with a sparkle in his eyes. He taught me to ride a bike there. It was amazing. Even when I fell and hurt my knee, he made me laugh. Sarah listened attentively, each word from Tommy a new piece in the puzzle of Michael's secret life. He always said that mistakes are just lessons in disguise, continued Tommy, imitating Michael's voice with a light laugh. Sarah smiled, recognizing the philosophy Michael often shared with her, but now with renewed depth. It was like hearing an echo of her husband through Tommy's innocence. Once we went camping, just the two of us, said Tommy, his eyes shining with the memory. He set up the tent and then we made a campfire. He told amazing stories about stars and planets. Sarah tried to imagine Michael in the role of an outdoor adventurer, something he had never shown interest in when they were together. He knew a lot about the stars, commented Tommy. He showed me constellations and even talked about a star named after my mom. Sarah felt a pang in her heart. The mention of Tommy's mother brought a new layer of reality to the life Michael had led away from her. Did he tell you a lot about her? Asked Sarah, trying to hide the pain in her voice. Tommy nodded. Yes, he said she was the bravest woman he ever knew, and that I should be strong like her. The pain and admiration in the boy's words were palpable, a constant reminder of the woman he had also lost. On another occasion, Tommy talked about car rides he took with Michael. He always drove slowly so I could see everything around us. We had picnics by the lake, and he taught me how to fish. Sarah imagined those quiet afternoons, Michael and Tommy together, living simple and happy moments. But at the same time, it was difficult to reconcile these moments with the man she knew, a man who always seemed so reserved. "Michael loved to cook for me," said Tommy, laughing. "He made animal-shaped pancakes and said they were magical. One day he made one in the shape of a dragon and said it would give me courage." Sarah had never known this playful side of Michael, but now she began to see how he strived to give Tommy a childhood full of love and magic. The revelation brought a mix of sadness and understanding, showing a side of Michael she had never known. Throughout the stories, Sarah realized that Tommy had a collection of precious moments that painted a picture of Michael as a devoted and loving father. "He always had time for me," said Tommy, his voice full of longing. Even when he seemed tired, he never said no to a game or a story. Sarah felt a wave of compassion for the boy, realizing how much Michael meant to him. As Tommy continued to share his stories, Sarah felt her own memories of Michael intertwine with the boys, creating a complex chain of recollections. She recalled the day Michael took her to see the stars on a cold winter night, the sparkle in his eyes as he explained the constellations. Now, she understood that he had repeated the same magical experience with Tommy, making it less unique, but equally precious. Sarah also remembered a trip they took together to the coast. Michael had spent hours building sandcastles with the children they met on the beach. She always thought he simply loved children, but now she saw this gesture in a new light, wondering if he thought of Tommy during those moments, trying to fill a void in his heart. As Tommy talked about the stories Michael told, Sarah remembered the nights when Michael read to her before bed, choosing adventure and magic tales that seemed to transport them to another world. His voice, calm and secure, had a soothing effect. Now she realized that the same voice had been a source of comfort for Tommy, creating an invisible bridge between their lives. A particularly painful memory emerged. She recalled an argument they had about Michael's frequent absences. He always claimed work commitments, but now Sarah knew that many of those absences were to be with Tommy. The discovery added a layer of guilt and sadness to the memories, turning moments of frustration into painful realities. Tommy mentioned how Michael loved to cook for him, and Sarah remembered Sunday mornings when she woke up to the smell of pancakes. Michael always made funny-shaped pancakes, but never mentioned doing it for Tommy too. Each story shared by the boy seemed to resurrect memories that once seemed sweet, but now carried the weight of duplicity. Sarah began to question how well she really knew Michael. Tommy's story showed a devoted, loving, and present man, while her own memories revealed a more reserved and enigmatic side. This duality left her confused and emotionally exhausted. How had Michael managed to balance these two lives? And why did he choose to hide so much from her? One afternoon, while tidying Michael's belongings, Sarah came across an old wooden box hidden at the back of the closet. The box was dusty, seemed to have not been opened for a long time. With a mix of curiosity and apprehension, she opened the lid, revealing a collection of seemingly unrelated objects. Among them, a small brass key caught her attention. The key was simple, but its weight in Sarah's hand seemed to carry deep symbolism. Where could it fit? It was a puzzle Michael had left behind, and the need to discover what it unlocked became urgent. Sarah felt that this key could be the next piece in the puzzle of her husband's secret life. Determined to find answers, Sarah began to search the attic, the most likely place to hide something important. Among boxes of old photos, family documents, and dusty mementos, she found a small locked chest. Her heart beat faster as she knelt before the chest, placing the key in the lock. With a click, the lid opened. Inside the chest, Sarah found a set of old documents, letters, and a worn leather diary. Each item seemed laden with secrets, begging to be unraveled. The diary, in particular, caught her attention. Upon opening the first page, she immediately recognized Michael's handwriting. The words were a mix of confessions and reflections, an intimate glimpse of what he held in his heart. A specific letter, written in faded ink, revealed a correspondence between Michael and a woman named Elena. Their words suggested a deep and lasting relationship, something Michael had never mentioned. Sarah felt a pang of pain as she read the words of affection and longing, a testament to a life he had kept separate from hers. As she read, Sarah found several references to a refuge, a place where Michael seemed to find peace and solace. It was a place he shared with Elena, and possibly with Tommy. The need to know more about this place became imperative. Could it be where the definitive answers about Michael's double life would be found? Determined to uncover the whole truth about Michael, Sarah began a meticulous investigation. She spent hours reviewing the documents found in the chest, each piece of paper a new clue. Among Elena's letters and Michael's diary, Sarah found financial records, bank statements, and property contracts. Each document seemed to weave an intricate web of secrets. One of the most revealing documents was a lease contract for a house in a nearby town. The contract was in Michael's name and dated several years back, confirming that he maintained a separate residence. With a sense of urgency, she decided to visit the house mentioned in the contract. Upon arriving in the small town, Sarah easily found the house. It was a modest but well-kept home, situated on a quiet street. With trembling hands, she used the key she had found to open the door. Inside, the house seemed like a sanctuary of memories. Photos of Michael with Elena and Tommy decorated the walls, showing a facet of his life that was completely new to Sarah. As she explored the house, Sarah found more evidence of Michael's second life. In an office drawer, there was a photo album documenting happy moments, birthdays, holidays, and family events. Michael's constant presence in all these photos showed how deeply he was involved in Tommy and Elena's life. Each turned page was like a stab to the heart, confirming the extent of the betrayal. Sarah also found a series of letters exchanged between Michael and Elena, revealing the deep love they shared. The letters spoke of dreams, plans, and a future together, a future Michael clearly never planned to include Sarah. Reading these letters was a devastating blow. She saw clearly that Michael had lived a double life, sharing his love and time in a way she never imagined possible. While rummaging through the office, Sarah found a small portable safe. Using the same key that opened the chest, she unlocked the safe and found more documents. Among them were birth certificates, school records for Tommy, and even a will that left part of his properties to Elena and Tommy. The extent of Michael's lies seemed endless. The most painful discovery was a video, hidden in an envelope marked only with the word, family. In the video, Michael spoke directly to the camera, expressing his love for Tommy and Elena, describing them as his true family. The pain and anger mixed within Sarah, creating a storm of emotions. However, amid the chaos, she realized she needed to continue. The evidence of Michael's second life was inescapable, each new document a cruel reminder of his betrayal. One afternoon, while rummaging through the house he shared with Elena, she heard a firm knock on the door. Upon opening it, she faced a woman with a severe expression. Her eyes filled with a pain Sarah immediately recognized. "You must be Sarah," said the woman, her voice trembling. "My name is Laura, and I was Elena's best friend." Laura's revelation was like a cold wave, bringing with it a new layer of reality. Laura entered the house and Sarah felt a palpable tension in the air. The walls that held so many secrets now seemed overwhelmingly oppressive. Laura wasted no time. "Elena told me everything about you," she said, her eyes fixed on Sarah's. "She knew you would find out the truth one day, but always hoped Michael would be honest first." Sarah felt a mix of anger and sadness. Knowing that Elena was aware of her, while she lived in ignorance, intensified the sense of betrayal. "Elena loved Michael deeply," continued Laura, her voice breaking a little. "She believed he would choose her in the end, that he would leave everything to be with her, and Tommy." Laura's words were like stabs to Sarah's heart. The love Michael divided was a cruel paradox. A love that should have been exclusive and unconditional. Sarah looked around the house, the photos and memories of a life she never knew. "He never told me any of this," she said, almost in a whisper. "How could he keep this for so long?" Laura sighed deeply, sitting in one of the living room chairs. Michael was a complicated man, trapped between two lives he created. He loved both of you, but didn't know how to reconcile. The conversation revealed more painful details. Elena had died with the hope that Michael would finally unite their lives, a hope that never materialized. "She asked me to take care of Tommy if something happened," said Laura, tears streaming down her face. "But now that you know the truth, I think you should decide what is best for him." The responsibility Laura placed on her shoulders was overwhelming. Sarah looked at Tommy, who was innocently playing in another room, unaware of the emotional whirlwind. She felt a protective impulse, a desire to ensure he would never again be a victim of Michael's secrets. "I promise to take care of Tommy," said Sarah with a firmness that surprised even herself. Laura nodded, seeming relieved, but still full of pain. "Elena trusted you, even without knowing you," she said softly. "I hope you find a way to do what Michael couldn't." The days after the conversation with Laura were intense for Sarah. The revelation of Michael's second life, Tommy's constant presence, and the need to understand who the man she loved really was, left her exhausted. One morning, while having coffee in the kitchen, Tommy entered the room with a yellowed envelope in his hands. "I found this in Dad's room," he said, handing her the envelope. Sarah took the envelope carefully. It was sealed with a mark she immediately recognized, the symbol of the refuge Michael mentioned in his letters and diaries. With an encouraging look at Tommy, she opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter, in Michael's unmistakable handwriting. Sarah's heart raced as she began to read. "Dear Sarah and my beloved Tommy," the letter began. "If you are reading this, it means the truth has finally come to light. There are not enough words to express how sorry I am for all the suffering I caused. Writing this letter was the hardest thing I have ever done, but I needed to make a few things clear." Michael's words were full of regret and pain. He explained how he had fallen in love with Elena before meeting Sarah, but when he met Sarah, he felt a different, equally deep love, but divided. "I was caught between two lives," he wrote. "I loved you, Sarah, with all my heart. But I couldn't abandon Tommy and Elena. Every choice I made was a desperate attempt to keep all of you safe and loved." Michael also mentioned the refuge, describing it as a place of peace where he could be himself, away from the lies and complications of his double life. "Whenever I was there, I felt a calm that I never found anywhere else," he wrote. "I wish you both could see this place and understand what it meant to me. It is where I left my true essence, free of secrets." The letter continued with Michael asking for forgiveness. "I know that saying sorry is not enough," he wrote, "but I want you to know that every moment I spent with you was real and true. I hope one day you can forgive me and find peace. And Tommy, I want you to know that I will always be with you, in every star you see, in every wind you feel." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face as she read the letter. Michael had tried to explain his actions, and although nothing could erase the pain of the betrayal, there was a raw sincerity in his words. She looked at Tommy, who was quiet, absorbing every word with a seriousness beyond his years. "He loved us," Tommy said, almost in a whisper. "Yes, he loved us," Sarah agreed, feeling a thread of understanding forming between them. "And he wanted us to know that, even after everything." The letter was a reflection of Michael's complexity, showing a man divided but full of love and regret. Sarah felt a new determination to move forward, honoring the feelings Michael had for them. Even though it was difficult, they decided together to visit the refuge Michael mentioned in the letter. It would be a way to better understand the man he was, beyond the lies and secrets. "Let's go tomorrow," said Sarah, and Tommy nodded, looking relieved to have a plan. They spent the rest of the day preparing for the trip. feeling a mixture of anticipation and fear of what they might find. The next day, they left early, driving in silence to the location mentioned in the letter. The journey was long and winding, taking them through serene landscapes that seemed to stretch infinitely. When they finally arrived, the refuge was everything Michael had described, a place of peace and serenity, hidden from the world. Sarah and Tommy explored the site, feeling Michael's presence in every corner. In the center of the refuge, they found a small memorial that Michael had erected. There were photos of Elena, Tommy, and Sarah, together in a composition he could never fully live. At the memorial, a final letter awaited them, written on a smooth stone. "This is my legacy," read the inscription. "A place of love and memories. May this refuge bring peace to you as it brought to me." Sarah and Tommy spent the day exploring and reflecting, feeling a mix of sadness and acceptance. The refuge did not erase the pains of the past, but it offered a place to start healing. At sunset, they sat together, holding hands, feeling a renewed connection with Michael and each other. Determined to fully understand Michael's past, Sarah delved even deeper into her investigation. Every new document, every clue discovered, seemed to lead to a more complex web of connections. One afternoon, while examining Michael's diaries, she found a name that appeared repeatedly: David. She didn't know any David in Michael's life, which piqued her curiosity. Sarah decided to search for David. After some research, she discovered he was an old friend of Michael from college. Determined to get more information, she found David's address and went to visit him. David, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, was surprised to see Sarah at his door. "You must be Sarah," he said, recognizing her from Michael's descriptions. "Yes, it's me," replied Sarah, trying to keep her composure. "I need to talk about Michael. I need to understand everything." David invited her in, and they sat in a cozy living room. "Michael was my best friend," David began. "He always talked about you and Tommy. There was a duality in him that was hard to understand, but his love for both of you was genuine." David revealed that he had met Elena at the same time as Michael and knew about the secret relationship. Michael felt torn between two worlds, David explained. He wanted the best for everyone, but knew he was failing everyone at the same time. David's words brought a new understanding to Sarah. Michael was not simply a traitor. He was a man fighting against his own flaws and limitations. As they talked, David mentioned a specific event that seemed crucial. "There was a time when Michael disappeared for a few days," David said. "When he returned, he was different, more determined to keep his lives separate, but at the same time, more desperate." Sarah asked more about this event, and David revealed that it was when Michael discovered he had a son with Elena. This revelation was a turning point for Sarah. She realized that Tommy's arrival had changed everything for Michael, forcing him to live in a constant state of conflict. "He wanted to do the right thing but was stuck," David said. "He always believed that somehow he could keep both of you happy." David's words echoed in Sarah's mind as she tried to reconcile this new understanding with the pain she felt. David then handed Sarah a box of mementos that Michael had left with him. Inside, she found letters, photos, and small objects that belonged to both of Michael's worlds. There were photos of Sarah and Michael on trips, mixed with photos of Michael, Elena, and Tommy in intimate and family moments. Each item told a story of love and loss, intertwining the lives of everyone in a complex way. Among the items, Sarah found an old wedding ring. "Michael bought this when he thought of marrying Elena," David explained. "But he never had the courage to wear it or give it to her. He was stuck between two commitments." The ring was a powerful symbol of Michael's internal struggle, and Sarah felt a mix of compassion and sadness. When she returned home, Sarah sat with Tommy and shared some of the discoveries. She wanted him to understand the complexity of his father, not just as a man who lived two lives, but as someone who loved deeply, even if imperfectly. Tommy, with his childlike wisdom, seemed to accept this duality with surprising maturity. "He always tried to do his best," Tommy said, holding a photo of Michael. Sarah and Tommy decided to visit some of the places mentioned in the letters and diaries. They went to parks, cafes, and even the college where Michael studied. Each place brought new stories and memories, helping them build a more complete picture of who Michael was. "Here he taught me to ride a bike," Tommy said in a park. "He held me until I felt safe." Sarah smiled, imagining the scene. During one of the visits, Sarah found a small box hidden in Michael's old office at the college. Inside, there was a series of unsent letters, written by Michael to her and Tommy. The letters were a mix of apologies and declarations of love. "I never had the courage to send them," Michael wrote in one. "But every word is true. I love you more than I can express." These letters were a balm for Sarah. They didn't erase the pain, but they helped her understand the depth of Michael's feelings. "He was always writing to us," she told Tommy. "Even if he never sent these letters, he wanted us to know how much he loved us." Tommy nodded, holding one of the letters against his chest. The journey of discovery brought Sarah and Tommy closer. They found solace in understanding Michael's complexity, accepting that, although imperfect, he was a man full of love and good intentions. He tried, in every way possible, to do what he thought was right, Sarah said. "And now, it's up to us to find peace with that truth." The morning sun shone softly through the living room curtains when Sarah, in yet another of her tireless searches for answers, found an old leather diary hidden in the back of a drawer in Michael's office. The leather was worn, and the edges of the pages were yellowed with time. As she opened the diary, she felt a mix of anticipation and fear. The first pages were full of daily notes, gradually revealing Michael's inner struggles. In the early entries, Michael wrote about his love for Sarah, describing her as the woman who brought light to his life. "She is my rock, my north," he wrote in an entry dated shortly before their wedding. Sarah felt a pang in her heart as she read these words. It was hard to reconcile the loving man he described with the man she now knew lived a double life. As she moved forward through the pages, Sarah found the first mentions of Elena. "I met someone," Michael wrote, "a woman who understands me in ways I never imagined." The words were painful, but also revealing. Michael seemed to be torn from the beginning, caught between two intense loves. His notes were filled with guilt and confusion, a constant battle between the desire to be honest and the fear of hurting those he loved. Sarah's pain increased with each new page, but it was also accompanied by a strange sense of relief. Michael was not simply a traitor, but a man in deep conflict. "Every day that passes, I feel like I'm losing a piece of myself," he wrote. "I love Sarah, but I also love Elena and Tommy. How can I live with these two truths?" The words were a raw reflection of his internal struggle. In a particularly anguished entry, Michael described the discovery that Elena was pregnant with Tommy. "My world collapsed," he wrote. "The joy of becoming a father was overshadowed by the reality of my lies. How can I look Sarah in the eyes and tell her the truth?" Sarah felt a wave of empathy for Michael. He was trapped in a cycle of impossible choices, each with its own devastating consequences. As she continued to read, Sarah found pages where Michael reflected on the impact of his actions. "I'm building a house of cards," he wrote, "and every day that passes, I feel it is about to collapse. I am afraid of the day Sarah will discover the truth. I am afraid of losing everything." These words were a testament to the constant anguish he lived, trying to maintain an impossible balance. The diary also revealed moments of pure happiness that Michael shared with Tommy. "Today I taught Tommy to ride a bike," he wrote. "Seeing the joy in his eyes is something I will never forget. These are the moments that make everything worth it, but they also remind me of the price I am paying." The descriptions of these experiences showed a side of Michael that Sarah had never fully known. In one of the last entries, Michael wrote about his desire to unite his two lives. "I dream of a day when I can be honest," he wrote. "A day when Sarah and Tommy can meet and understand that despite everything, my love for both is true." This entry brought tears to Sarah's eyes. Michael's pain and regret were palpable, but there was also a silent hope for redemption. Sarah found an entry that seemed especially intended for her. "Sarah, The entry began, "If you ever read this, I want you to know that every moment with you was real. My love for you was never a lie. I just hope that one day you can forgive me." Michael's words were a plea for forgiveness from beyond, an attempt to explain the inexplicable. The diary ended with a reflection on mortality. "I feel that time is running out," Michael wrote. "I don't know how much longer I can keep this secret. If something happens to me, I want Sarah and Tommy to know that I love them more than anything in this world." These final words were a painful reminder of the reality Sarah now faced. As she closed the diary, Sarah felt a sense of clarity. Michael's struggles and regrets did not erase the pain of the betrayal, but they offered a new perspective on the man she loved. He was imperfect, but his love was genuine. He was lost, thought Sarah, but his love for us was real. This understanding brought a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. In the days that followed, Sarah shared parts of the diary with Tommy, carefully choosing the passages that showed Michael's love for him. "Your father loved you very much," she said, holding Tommy's hand. "He was confused, but he never stopped loving you." Tommy, with tears in his eyes, hugged Sarah, feeling a deeper connection with the father he knew and the man he was beginning to understand. Over time, Sarah and Tommy found ways to celebrate Michael's memory without dwelling on the painful past. They visited the refuge regularly, turning it into a place of renewal and growth. Each visit was an opportunity to reflect, heal, and move forward. Michael's diary became a guide, reminding them of the complexities of life and the power of love. After months of discovery and reflection, Sarah felt she was finally beginning to understand the complexity of the man Michael was. However, one afternoon, while cleaning the attic, she found something that would change everything again. Behind a pile of old boxes, there was a small safe she had not noticed before. Curious, and with an uneasy feeling, Sarah decided to open it. Inside the safe, she found a sealed envelope and a set of keys. The envelope had her name written in Michael's handwriting. With trembling hands, she opened the envelope and found a letter and a detailed map of a rural area she did not recognize. The letter began with words that already made her feel a new wave of emotions. "Sarah, if you are reading this, it means it is time to discover another secret of mine." Michael explained in the letter that there was a property he had never mentioned, a place he called the Final Refuge. According to the letter, it was a place where he planned to bring Sarah and Tommy, where they could finally live in peace, without secrets. "I wanted it to be a surprise," he wrote. "A place for us to start over, away from everything that hurt us." Sarah felt a mix of anger and hope. Why had Michael never mentioned this place before? Why did he continue to hide secrets even after everything she had already discovered? Determined to find answers, she decided to follow the map. "Tommy, we have a new adventure ahead," she said, holding the hand of the boy who was now an integral part of her life. The journey to the Final Refuge was long and filled with anticipation. As they approached the location indicated on the map, Sarah felt her heart beating faster. Finally, they arrived at a clearing surrounded by tall trees. In the center of the clearing, there was a small, well-kept house. It seemed that no one had been there for a long time, but the place exuded a sense of peace and serenity. Sarah and Tommy explored the house, finding it full of surprises. Every room seemed carefully prepared for them, as if Michael had anticipated their needs and desires. In the office, they found another series of letters and diaries from Michael. "This place was my dream for us," he wrote in one of the letters. "Here we can start over, free from the ghosts of the past." In one of the diaries, Michael described his hopes for the future. "I want this place to be a sanctuary," he wrote. "A place where Sarah and Tommy can feel safe and loved, where we can heal and rebuild our lives." Sarah felt the tears streaming as she read. Michael had created a space for them, even as he struggled with his own demons. The most surprising discovery came in the basement of the house. Sarah found a secret room accessible only with one of the keys from the safe. Inside, there was a collection of Michael's personal items, including photos, documents, and an old video camera. With trembling hands, Sarah turned on the camera and found a video of Michael, recorded shortly before his death. In the video, Michael looked more vulnerable than ever. "Sarah," he began, "if you are seeing this, it means I was unable to bring you and Tommy here, as I planned. This place is my gift to you, a place where all our wounds can begin to heal. I hope you can understand that, despite all my mistakes, my love for you was real." Michael's words in the video were raw and sincere. He spoke of his regrets, his hopes, and his unwavering love for Sarah and Tommy. "I know I made many mistakes," he continued, "but every decision was made with the desire to protect you. Please find in this place what I was never able to offer: peace and happiness." Sarah felt a mix of relief and sadness as she watched the video. Michael had left a legacy of love, even though it was wrapped in secrets and lies. "We will honor his wish," she told Tommy, who was watching the video with wide eyes. "We will make this place our home, where we can be happy and free from the ghosts of the past." As they explored the final refuge further, Sarah found a small greenhouse at the back of the property. Inside, there were carefully cultivated plants, many of which Michael mentioned in his diaries. "These are for Sarah," he wrote. "She always loved flowers. I hope these bring a little joy to her days." Tommy found an old swing hanging from a tree, clearly made by Michael. "He made this for me," Tommy said, swinging gently as he looked at Sarah. "Dad wanted me to be happy here." Sarah smiled, feeling a deeper connection with Michael and with the future they could build together in that place. The morning sun illuminated the refuge as Sarah and Tommy prepared for a new day. On that particular day, Sarah decided to organize Michael's papers and diaries, creating a special space for his memories. As she flipped through the pages, she found a sealed envelope with her name. It was the last letter from Michael, one she had not yet discovered. With trembling hands, Sarah opened the envelope and began to read. "Dear Sarah," Michael began, "if you are reading this, it means you have finally found the place I created for us. This refuge is my apology and my gift to you and Tommy. I know nothing can erase the pain I caused, but I hope this place can be a new beginning." The letter continued, revealing Michael's deepest feelings. "I spent my life divided between two families, two loves. It was a constant battle, one I always knew I would lose. But my love for you, Sarah, and for Tommy is the truth that remained constant. You were my light in times of darkness." The words were a mix of regret and love, bringing tears to Sarah's eyes. Michael also wrote about his dreams for the future. "I wanted this refuge to be a place where you and Tommy could find peace. A place where the scars of the past could heal and where new memories could flourish. I hope you can find joy here, as I imagined you would." Michael's sincerity touched Sarah's heart, offering a glimpse of redemption. As Sarah read the letter, Tommy entered the room. "What is that, Mom?" he asked, curious. Sarah smiled and handed the letter to Tommy. "It's a final message from your father," she said. Together, they read Michael's words, feeling a deep connection with him and with each other. "He wanted us to be happy here," said Tommy with renewed determination. Michael's message provided the catharsis Sarah needed. She felt the weight of pain and regret lift, replaced by a sense of peace and acceptance. "We will honor your father's wish," she told Tommy. "We will make this place a home full of love and joy." The words were a commitment to the future, a vow to live fully, despite the hardships of the past. In the following days, Sarah and Tommy worked together to transform the refuge into their true home. They planted flowers, decorated the rooms, and filled the house with laughter and music. Each task completed was a step toward healing, a gesture of love and resilience. "We are building something beautiful here," Sarah said, looking at Tommy with pride. The refuge became a symbol of redemption and a new beginning. Sarah felt that, despite all the struggles and secrets, Michael had left a legacy of love. With each passing day, she and Tommy created new memories, honoring the past but living in the present. "We are in this together," Sarah said, hugging Tommy as the sun set. "And that's all that matters." Looking out to the horizon, Sarah felt a sense of completeness. The journey had been long and painful, but it had led to a place of hope and renewal. With Tommy by her side, and Michael's words engraved in her heart, Sarah was ready to face the future with courage and love. The refuge was more than a place, it was a new beginning, a space where they could flourish and thrive together. If you enjoyed the incredible story of Sarah and Tommy, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you love emotional chronicles and want to support our channel to continue bringing more quality content, consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the first pinned comment. Your help is essential for us to keep improving. Thank you for your support. See you in the next exciting chronicle.